Mr. Arnold's workplace law class and credit recovery class. Today we are looking at the Unit 1 summative assignment about the post-apocalyptic legal crisis. So at this point in your planning, you have set up your settlement. So you have a diagram of your settlement and you are ready to fill out the summative assignment, which is a summary of how your post-apocalyptic legal society is set up. So what you are looking at in this case is you are first looking at the diagram of your settlement, and you need to answer why your settlement contributes to both safety and order. You should have a rough copy of this already written on your diagram. It was either done in a group or by yourself. And you could say things quite simply like, we have a water tower for clean drinking water, where citizens stay safe and it maintains order because no one is scared to get sick. There we go. So you can see here I have one explanation, and you should have from your planning document at least 5 to 10 of these. You don't need to put them all on here. Another person, what they did was they explained why they put their laws in the middle of the town. So if you put your laws in the middle of the town, it gives people easy access to it, which means they can easily read the laws and obey them, hopefully, that way. They can find them, they can read them, and they can understand them better, and that's good for safety and order as well. Next, you have your different buildings and why you put them where they are. For instance, if you have your agricultural field in the middle of the settlement, maybe it's something that you can defend easily. Also, you are going to tell where different administrative and procedural and where your laws are set up if you have a central building for that. And finally, what groups do you have in your society? So do you have a slave class like the Babylonians did? Do you have a class of politicians who make up all the rules just like was done in Greek time? Is it a true democracy? Is it a true democracy in the fact that everybody gets a vote, or is it ruled simply by a set of people that make up all the rules? And why exactly do you have that? So that's the first part. That is your basic breakdown of what's going on. Next, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to talk about your top 3 values, and these are the values that you can get from the historical roots of law. So in your society, you need to be specific as to say where those values came from. So if we scroll down to, say, the ancient Romans, on our historical roots of law matrix, which you can find on the classroom page, you see that property may be one of your values. So if someone steals someone else's property, you may have a harsh consequence, such as death or imprisonment, like the Romans did, to deal with someone who steals property from someone else. So you can see here that there are prompts for you. So the 3 values of our society come from the Code of Hammurabi, beer and agriculture, and from ancient Greece for democracy. You can also add something like, as I said, Roman law, property, and because you think that people should be punished harshly because they steal something from someone else. Next, the historical roots of law. Now, the historical roots of law is the legal tradition that you follow, not specifically the values, but here you're going to need to talk about the significance, and you're also going to have to talk about the punishments that you may have chosen as well. So let's take a look at the different changes as far as significance go. Here, you could say that you value the Code of Hammurabi because you think your laws should be codified. You also would value, in that case, Mosaic law. And you may even go as far as saying that we quite simply chose the 10 commandments because they're simple, there's only 10 of them, but I would like to see a combination of many of these different pieces of significance in answer number 2. I would also like to see you include punishments in this as well. If we scroll down further, we are looking at the different categories of law. So you can pick these different categories of law. In this, you need to include the various definitions of categories of law. And you can find that in the document entitled Sources, Classes, and Types of Law, specifically this presentation. There it is. So you can talk about constitutional law, you can talk about statute law, and you may also want to include the difference between public law and private law. So the sources of Canadian law, that is for question 4. We still haven't looked at the court system in Canada, but we will look at that, and we will look at dispute resolution techniques. And we're also going to look at anything that you may have changed in Canada or in your society, because perhaps you couldn't find something and you just made a law up. And that's fine too. You do, however, have to talk about why you did this. So why are your laws way more harsh than anything that you saw in the historical roots of law matrix? So you'll see that there is the one more lesson that we have to look at, and that is the way that the courts are organized. We'll also talk briefly about different leadership styles as well, because that's always a fun one. Great. If you have any questions, remember, don't be afraid to ask. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.